esteemed representatives, we are very proud and honored. But firstly, allow me to express my utmost admiration and support for the two activists that we know so little about in our part of the world, despite of their importance and contribution, Mr. Tohti and Mr. Yorov. The reach of our solidarity must travel beyond European borders, and we vowed to that when we called human rights universal. And universal values, and I believe that in our part of the world we have more commitment to this attribute of being universal. However, our Europe also didn't achieve all ideals we have set decades ago. When the Council of Europe was founded 70 years ago, Western Europe united in a vision of peace, freedom, and democracy. And after the fall of the Berlin Wall and the concurring events, that vision and dream was joined by the Eastern Europe, also led by Vaclav Havel. There was only a small Gaelic village that resisted still, resisted a trend some called the end of history. While democratic transitions came rushing in, Yugoslavia was preparing for a violent breakup in the late 80s. What most deemed impossible happened. Wars broke out on the European continent once more. More than 120,000 people died in the wars. Hundreds of thousands displaced or victimized in some other way. More than 10,000 are still missing. Apart from personal, individual, and family tragedies, which so many suffered, the damage for our countries and societies is still more than tangible. Our democracies are weak, our economies still not even close to what they were before the war. Regional cooperation in the Balkans is still heavily burdened by hatred, mistrust, prejudices, and wartime legacy. The political elites and societies in our country have still not renounced their war agendas and nationalistic ideologies. I will not say before you that new wars in the Balkans are inevitable, but I will tell you that our country's leaders mention war with ever-increasing frequency, while in parallel there is an ongoing arms race in the region. I will say that borders in the region are not defined. Kosovo's territorial integrity, but also of Bosnia and Herzegovina, are questioned daily. I will say that world powers have firmly chosen sides in our disputes and conflicts. I will tell you that convicted war criminals are treated as esteemed members of our societies, while peace activists and human rights activists are being labeled as traitors and state enemies. Youth Initiative for Human Rights is devoted to the process of dealing with the past, which we believe is the only guarantee towards viable peace. We live by these words: too young to remember, determined never to forget. We are trying to rectify the errors of the past so that justice may be brought to victims. And we also want to shape the future, a peaceful future for the Balkans. The future we hope for and work towards is one where opinions of others will not be formed through prejudice and lies, but through personal, authentic experiences and facts. We want to make it possible, normal, natural for young people to meet, to work together, to create, to travel, to fall in love across the Balkan region just as they do across Europe. We want for people to have universal respect for victims and deep disdain for war criminals, no matter of their nationality. We want deeper, more substantial and more honest regional cooperation. And these are not just commonplaces and empty talk. These are very ambitious goals in our region. It is crucial for me to say that none of these values that I've mentioned is not appreciated in our region. And this concerns us, and we want to use this opportunity to share this concern with you. We are deeply proud, grateful, and honored by this prize, and once again, I'd like to thank the Parliamentary Assembly, the Vaclav Havel Library, and the Charter 77, and the selection panel for recognizing the values that we stand for, and to thank our longtime friends and partners who nominated us. Thank you all for understanding that Europe needs a Balkans whose fundamental values are those of the Council of Europe. We need Europe in order to achieve peace in the Balkans instead of the ceasefire that we currently live in. Each of our country needs more of Europe and European values, more freedom and democracy. Most of us benefit from the Council of Europe, the Convention and the Court, but not all of us. Kosovo citizens do not have access to the Council of Europe or European Court for Human Rights. They need a visa to get here. That is not European. We must change that. Our message to Europe is, do not play deaf at the sound of war drums fading in from the Balkans. We are not strangers, we are Europeans. Our message to the citizens of our countries, peace is our most prized possession and something we must fight for constantly. Peace is not merely the absence of war. Peace is a state where war is impossible. We must actively and persistently work on building peace, creating new bonds between people and improving regional cooperation in every field of life. At the end, we dedicate this award to pioneers of these processes, hundreds and hundreds of Youth Initiative for Human Rights, present and former, activists, volunteers, exchange participants, leaders. This belongs to all of them. Thank you. Hvala, faljemenderit. Merci.
Mesdames et messieurs, nous mettons ainsi fin à notre cérémonie et je vous remercie toutes et tous pour votre attention.